Welcome to the Caravan Show, where we discuss all things caravans. That's right, everything you need to know about caravans, from weights, towing, maintenance, appliances, renovations, buying a caravan, repairs, destinations and reviews. We'll also chat with some Aussie legends, manufacturers, suppliers and of course, people who love caravans.
Good morning everyone, this is Roy here from the Caravan Show podcast, and I have online with me this morning Bob Pynsent. Bob's the Mayor of Cessnock. Welcome to the podcast show this morning, Bob.
Yes, thank you, and it's great to be here.
Thank you very much. Bob, our show is predominantly, or our listeners are predominantly caravanners, so we're looking for information for caravanners, and as you know, we're trying to promote the idea of people caravanning and tourism in local regions rather than spending their money going overseas. Now, in your case, as I understand it, you're actually not that far from some of the big centres, including Sydney itself.
That's right. We're probably 2 hours from Sydney, 45 minutes to Newcastle, and so we're well located, and of course, right at our doorstep, some of the best wineries in the world.
Yeah, well, all my listeners are keen to hear about that one. So, do you cater very well for caravanners? Do you have many caravan parks in your region?
We have two formalised private operated caravan parks, and council has really invested in probably in the last 5 years in the value of grey nomads and people moving around both New South Wales and Australia, and we've got two free camping areas that we've set up.
That was a question I was going to ask. Yes, what about the free campers?
They have been very, very successful, particularly the one at Branxton, which is very close to the Hunter Expressway, and it can accommodate at a peak probably 40 caravans and other types of travelling vehicles, I suppose. And one of the benefits of that, apart from being probably less than a kilometre off the Hunter Expressway, it's so close to the vineyards, and at certain times of the year it's full, and we have groups that use that as their base to travel around the 140 vineyards in our local government area.
140 vineyards?
Yes.
So it's a good place to go if you're really into your wine, isn't it?
It is. And
so that takes in the Hunter Valley, doesn't it?
It is.
Yes.
We share the vineyard precinct with Singleton, and so we market together. So in the Singleton side, there's McNamara Park at Broke. That's a free camping area that is very large, and it's a part of the caravanning network, I suppose, and people know where there's dump sites and the facilities that are available at each particularly free camping area, and it's something that we as a council really want to develop because there's such a market in it. So,
Bob, tell us a little bit about yourself briefly. Is this your first term as mayor?
No, this is my second term. I've been the mayor of Cessnock for 8 years now, and I really love it. And this has been a really tough time in those 8 years with tourism, and where we as a council are working as hard as we possibly can to support the number of tourist businesses we have in our LGA, because between drought, bushfires and COVID, it hasn't been easy. And we're investing money in tourist-related projects and marketing to make people aware, both in New South Wales and right across Australia, that you can go and have a holiday in virtually regional New South Wales, and it's not that far away, and we can supply free camping.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big thing that areas like yours that have suffered very heavily with drought, then this bushfire on top of that, and of course the latest thing with this COVID-19, it's hit you really hard. I mean, Australians say they want to do things and they like to supply money for good good reasons or good charity type things. But at the end of the day, they actually don't need to really do that. Actually, all they need to do is approach the Goya effect. The Goya effect is a term I like to use. It means get off your ass and get out there and start travelling Australia and having a look at what we've got to offer. We don't need to go overseas. We can actually support our own local tourism and our regions by simply going to see it. Now, the bushfires did have a horrible effect, but I would think you'd be seeing some comeback from that now, and things would start to be regrowing and starting to look a lot prettier than they had been, when it was all blackened.
Yeah, very much so. And the state and federal governments both supported us as a fire-affected region, and we were able to put a portion of the $1.4 million that we received into marketing. So we're going to be out there promoting the various tourism facilities within our LGA, and Singleton are in partnership with us. So it's publicising all of wine country, so making it available for people across Australia. And of course, the other thing that both councils are running are shop local campaigns, and to realise the value of the sustainability of the businesses within our LGAs. And we're working as hard as we possibly can to make sure that as many businesses survive. And of course, the critical part there is the jobs that they provide. Tourism is one of the biggest employers in our local government area, and we need to support those jobs because it supports our community.
Absolutely, it's a big deal. In fact, I've mentioned this a few times on air that our local industry in terms of tourism produces about $450 billion per annum, but actually we're spending as tourists $650 billion. Which is going overseas. So if we can get the money that's going overseas to stay in the country, not only would we pick up the business that we've lost, not only would we thrive from that, we'd actually really boom, because it's going to have to be spent somewhere. And Australians do want to spend the money. Australians do want to travel. They do want to see things. So coming back to your region at Cessnock, we know and understand that obviously it's a really good area for wine testing and buying wines and so forth. But what other sorts of things would you offer caravanners to be able to do? I mean, you can only drink so many bottles of wine or visit so many wine. Even 140, I should imagine, might take a bit of time, but there must be other things to do in your area as well.
That's right. And diversity of tourism is something that we specialise in, between, hot air ballooning, the murals of Curry, cheeses, chocolates, the Hunter Valley Zoo, Hunter Valley Gardens is a venue within itself. We have, I think it's 5 resort-style golf courses, galleries, national parks, the ability to walk through national parks, walking trails, and of course just to chill out in the beautiful vistas that are available in our area.
That sounds to me pretty much like you're covering most things that people want to do. Is there fishing available?
Not fishing.
Unless they're fishing for wine.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, but hot air ballooning's a big thing. I mean, I did that recently myself in Victoria, and it's a wonderful experience. So being able to travel over the Hunter Valley on a hot air balloon is something I'm going to put on my bucket list. That's a reason for me to come to Cessnock.
And of course, at present, with the breaking of the drought, it is just so picturesque. The landscape is striking, and that's certainly really attractive to people who have been locked away. And the effects of cabin fever, particularly in New South Wales, people saying, well, let's get out and let's enjoy just the open air of regional New South Wales.
Absolutely. So we've suffered drought, we've suffered bushfire, we've suffered through the COVID-19. We're coming out the other side of it. Things are looking bright and cheery. The states are now opening up, and within your states there's a lot more travel happening now. Hopefully we can get people to simply pop out from, well, in your case, Sydney's a 2 hour. I mean, you don't have to travel thousands of kilometres. You could travel for 2 hours and then still be in that area for a month and not see everything there is to offer. And I think Australians don't always fully appreciate that you don't need to travel thousands of kilometres. It's actually on your own doorstep. you know,
That's right.
and they're going to be welcome. You've got things like markets.
Not with the current restrictions.
No, once the restrictions are over.
Yeah, once the restrictions are over, we have weekend markets in the vineyards virtually every weekend, and it's popular. And of course, as soon as we get back into full swing, and of course we're just coming into a period now where bookings are really heavy, which is fantastic for those businesses of people. Now the restrictions are relaxed in regards to tourism and caravanning. You know, I was in Branxton, the site of one of our free camps the other day, and on the first day of the relaxation, there were two vans already occupying that site. It was only 11 a.m.
You've got a lot of people in your area that really have suffered severely through this, and there'll be a lot of small businesses too that are really desperate to get help, and you know, inviting people to come and see them quite openly, I would think.
That's right, and of course we've got so many local products that are made here, not just wine. Wine probably takes up about 30% of the tourism market. It's that diversity and how people can occupy themselves, not just for one day, but for probably 3 or 4 days, just travelling around at the non-wine attractions.
So how much importance would you place on caravanners coming to Cessnock?
Oh, very much so. It is so important to us. And of course, the other thing that's missing, and will probably be missing well into next year, is the large concerts that we have. You know, we attract people to 20,000 people concerts with artists like Bruce Springsteen, Elton John, and
Wow.
they're not happening. And one of the parts that's really supported there is the number of caravan facilities that have grown with the attraction of these concerts. So they're there waiting for people to come and visit and explore and enjoy the Hunter Valley.
So tell me, what sort of area are we talking about? How big an area does Cessnock take up?
The local government area is about 2,000 square kilometres. It's a really diverse and large area, right from Wallumbye in the south, which is a heritage historical village, to Branxton in the north.
That is a big area. And how many residents would you have, would you think?
59,000.
59,000.
Yeah, and we're growing all the time. So it's because of that connectivity and this road I referred to before, the Hunter Expressway has really connected us to, in some parts, being less than 30 minutes from the main city of Newcastle.
One of the things that our listeners are keen to find out about too is getting their caravans or their cars repaired. Are you aware of caravan repairers and car repairers in your region?
No shortage of mechanics. I'm not quite sure. It would probably be 20 minutes to somewhere like Maitland. I know Jayco have a big works at Heatherbrae, which is Raymond Terrace, near Newcastle, and closer to Newcastle I know of another supplier. So most of the main types of caravans are catered for within probably half an hour of our LGA.
Yeah, that is pretty important for them. What about 24-hour shopping and 24-hour service stations?
Yes, we have a number of 24-hour service stations. 24-hour shopping is not quite available in our area at this point.
Okay. Bob, how long have you been in the region for?
30 years.
30 years? I guess with 30 years of local knowledge, one of the things I particularly like asking our guests is that you can get a lot of information through Google and so forth. I can Google Cessnock and I can find out all sorts of things. But there's always some of those more secret things that you guys, locals, know about. If I was to say to you, can you come up with 3 things that, the public wouldn't find out that easily by Googling the area, that you could say, well, here's 3 exciting things that we've got that, I can share the secret with you.
I love absorbing the scenery of the mountains. and the open spaces that cities don't really experience, and people who live in cities, and that's probably why we're so attractive to people coming out of high rises in Sydney, just to breathe the fresh air. I love just the open spaces is another thing, and not being confined. And of course, there's always those special drops of either Semillon or Shiraz that are so special in our area.
Is there a particular time of year that's better to visit your region, or is your region sort of 12 months of the year there's always something happening?
Most of the time there's something happening. It's sort of with the concert season that's just suspended at present, and we have a lot of weddings. So people find this so attractive with the natural landscapes as a wedding venue. And then, of course, Hunter Valley Gardens within itself runs a number of programs over winter time, a snow event, and then at Christmas time they have the Christmas lights, and we're out there marketing full time 12 months of the year.
So you'd say that you've got snow in your region as well?
No, they bring it in.
Oh, they bring it in for you?
Yes, yep. It's snow time in Hunter Valley Gardens. It's quite an amazing thing. And the other part to it, it's so popular. Unfortunately, it's been suspended this year.
Yes.
But in a normal year, that's something that we have. And the Christmas lights is something that's spectacular. Normally starts in about November and goes through till January, where there might be something like 2 million lights on display, and it attracts tourists from all over Australia.
Telecommunications play a big role in everyone's life today, including our caravanners. And I've dialed you on a mobile phone here today, and you're crystal clear. So I assume that's something that's good in your area, getting good reception.
Oh, very much so. We have our black spots, but the reception's good, and just as the reception you get from the welcoming people of our area.
Beautiful. Bob, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today, and I hope we can have another chat. It's certainly, Cessnock's on my bucket list. I want to come out, I want to sip some of that wine, I want to do some of that ballooning, and it sounds to me like there's a couple of other special events there I should consider doing in the future as well.
Yeah, very much so, and it's been a pleasure to talk with you.
So for you folk out there who haven't listened to this, go and have a look at Cessnock. Try it out. There's lots of things to do, as you've heard from the Mayor. You're welcome, and they really want you there. They need you right now to support them, and as soon as travel is available, get your bums down there to Cessnock. Thanks, Bob.
Yours. Pleasure.